Hello everyone and welcome to what is going to be sort of an abbreviated version. I'm going to do mainly sort of abbreviated versions of the exercises this week. At this point you should basically not have to be reminded how to insert a movie clip, how to sort of create a flash or sorry an animate document. The idea here is that I'm going to be sort of showing you and sort of instructing on new things that are relative in this case to text that I think the video tutorials are going to be helpful. So I'm going to have the step-by-steps as usual, but these will sort of go along with them, but not as they have in the past where I go and I say open animate. When animate opens it will give you a screen, blah blah blah. These are going to be a little more in relation to the specific thing that we're going over this week. So this is going to be the blur and shape tween text exercise. I'm going to skip ahead actually to step 15. I am going to note step 8, and I'm just noting this. I've already done it. It says choose the text tool in the toolbox. Also make sure the properties window, in the properties window, while the text tool is being used, it says static text. When I click on this text tool, you'll see up here that you have this drop down menu. That should be set at static text. Okay, so when I draw a new text box, that should say static text. There are other options, dynamic text and input text. We're not going to deal with those just now. So I have a movie clip that is just this word, twinkle. You're going to see sort of these exercises this week are just going over a simple bit of text, twinkle, twinkle, little star. As our sort of what we're going to use to sort of create different effects. So I'm going to skip ahead to basically the sorry, I couldn't see that I was recording. I'm going to skip ahead to the step 15, which is, it says go to scene 1. So I have this movie clip already created, and I'm going to pop over to scene 1. Okay. Now, it says create 2 layers, this is step 16, create 2 layers, call one layer blur 1 and the other layer blur 2. I've already done that. Next it says create a motion tween on blur 1 from frame 1 to 100 with the twinkle movie clip. Now, we're not necessarily moving this thing, we're just using the tween to create this blur effect. So on both blur, sorry, it says on blur 1, we're going to go to blur 1, we're going to go to from frame 1 to frame 100. I'm going to move up. I'm going to insert a frame. I'm going to insert my twinkle. Okay, so I have this, and now I'm going to insert my motion tween. Okay. So next it says step 18, create a motion tween on layer blur 2 from frame 50 to 150. So the idea here is we're sort of rolling out twinkle twinkle little star. Okay, so I'm going to insert a keyframe on frame 50 here. Okay, I am going to grab that twinkle. So you'll see that I only have that twinkle up to frame 50. I'm going to go up to frame 150. I'm going to insert a frame. I'm going to create a motion tween there. Okay, so this is basically steps 17 and 18. We've created motion tweens. We haven't moved these things. They just are sort of static. Well, the reason we need a motion tween is so that we can sort of apply an effect to it. In this case, it's going to be the blur effect or the blur filter. And the idea between them, with the motion tween is, even though it's called a motion tween, we're just sort of stating that at this point it's going to look like this, and at this point it's going to look like this, and in this case it's going to be a blur. So it says click on the last frame of layer blur 1 tween and then click on the instance of that movie clip on the stage. It says a blue bounding box will appear. So I'm going to click and make sure a blue bounding box appears. Okay, so I'm on the last frame. I'm going to make sure I'm on that last frame right there. Okay, so you see my playhead. I just sort of line that up so I make sure I'm on that last frame. I click on this. Next, it says open the properties window and scroll down. So I'm going to go to properties to the filters. Okay, there's a drop down menu here, and we have this little plus sign. Okay, and we're going to add a blur filter. Okay, you'll see all these other filters you can add. Okay, now the blur is sort of defined by pixels. It's basically how much do we blur in the XY direction, sort of XY axis. I'm going to change each of these to 50. Okay, another one changes to 50. I'll put the quality on low, doesn't really matter, changes it a little bit. Now, what you will see is that since we sort of define the first keyframe to have the regular movie clip of Twinkle, it will use the motion tween to basically move towards the second state or the second definition of that word twinkle, which was a blurred version. Okay, so you can see now twinkle, and the second twinkle comes in. Okay, it says repeat the same filter for layer blur 2. Okay, so I'm going to click on this, and I need to go up to frame 150. Okay, I click on that to make sure the blue bounding box. I'm going to add the blur, and I'm going to type in 50. You'll see when I type in 50 here, I get, it sort of adjusts the Y as well. Okay, so what we're looking for is twinkle, I'll spare you the singing, twinkle. Okay, if we test this, okay. So a combination of motion tween and then defining what it is how blurry that gets sort of at the end. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is use a shape tween with text. So this is sort of an addition, and it's sort of reviewing the shape tween, which we did at the beginning of the semester, but showing us a way in which we can sort of do this with text. I am going to probably run through the whole 24 through the end of this exercise on this one because it's fairly short. So it says insert a new layer and call it text tween. Okay. Okay, we have text tween there. Insert a keyframe on frame 100 of the text tween layer. Okay, I'm going to go approximately up here, frame 100, and I'm going to insert a keyframe. Okay, I want this to sort of read twinkle, twinkle, little star as the phrase goes, so I'm sort of giving myself a little space here. Next thing it says, draw a rectangle with the text tool off the stage on the bottom, and type the word little in a large font of your choice. Okay. Okay. Next, it says choose modify break apart twice. We used this when we dealt with the bird flying. We broke apart, and what we did was we sort of made it so that we took a vector-based thing and turned, or sorry, a raster-based thing and turned it into a vector thing. What we're doing here is we're turning this sort of into I guess a vector graphic instead of editable text. Okay, so I'm going to go modify, break apart. You'll see that it breaks that apart into singular letters, and now we're going to break it apart again. Okay, and that turns it, and you'll see little dots. That turns it into a basically a shape. It doesn't recognize that as a bit of text that we can edit anymore. So I'm going to zoom in so we can see that. Now, it says draw a rectangle at the top of the stage and type the words star. Okay, I'm going to actually pause the video briefly and sort of set this up. I have this second portion of the shape tween set up. I just wanted to set it up to make sure I didn't run out of time here in the video. So, to review, we have little down here. We've broken that apart twice. So we have that in a vector form. Step 28 says go to frame 200 and insert a blank keyframe. I've gone up to step 200, inserted a blank keyframe. Then it says choose the text tool in the toolbox, draw a rectangle with the text tool at the top of the stage and type the word star. Break that apart twice. Okay, so we have this setup. We have little and then we have star. These have both been broken apart twice so that they are vector graphics. Now it says insert a shape tween anywhere between frames 100 and 200. Okay, so I'm going to click anywhere between frames 100 and 200 on the text tween layer and create, whoops, not a motion tween, a shape tween. Okay, remember the shape tweens are green, so they're going to look different than the motion tweens. At this point, we have little sort of coming up and turning into star. Okay, last thing it says is insert a frame on text tween layer at frame 250 just to extend the scene out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go up here to 250 and just insert a frame so that my scene doesn't abruptly end. So to review and to sort of see what we're looking for, we're going to test this movie and sort of talk about what happens. Two movie clips, Twinkle, Twinkle, both have basically the same thing happening to them. Then Little and Star happening in a completely different way. We've broken apart Little and Star so as to allow them to have that shape tween. If they were actual text, if we didn't break them apart, we wouldn't be able to do that shape tween. Okay, so a few new concepts here, the blur definitely being one of the concepts, and then the sort of breaking apart the text so that we can actually do that shape tween on the little star. Okay, so this is what I want your Swift to look like. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Okay, we're going to do different versions of this Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And again, the idea is that you treat text in a visual manner. I'm looking for you to, with the text that you chose for your project 2, treat it in a manner, whether it's sizing, coloring, blurring, having it animate in different ways. These are 2 more opportunities. We're going to deal with a couple more opportunities in the exercises to come. Okay.